Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dr. Enoch Kotei, the primary care physician you can trust, breaking down the topics you care about in a way that you can understand. I just wanted to drop this quick video and give you an update. On my last video, I talked about how I was 95 or 99% sure that I was going to take the COVID-19 vaccine. And news, I actually did take the COVID-19 vaccine. As a matter of fact, today on February 24th, I'm a month out from receiving my second dose of my COVID-19 vaccine. And I feel pretty good. A lot of people are hesitant about it because they're scared about the side effects of the vaccines and so forth. And, I'm not going to lie, a lot of people that I know did actually have side effects from the COVID-19 vaccine. But whether it be body aches or the soreness in the arm, fatigue, sometimes even fevers and things along that line. But a lot of people that did experience those side effects didn't really experience them for more than about a day. It's better to go through those mild side effects of a vaccine than to actually risk being infected with actual COVID-19, which can make it feel even worse and for longer. You don't know when that's going to go away or not, as opposed to the side effects of COVID-19 vaccines, which are going to go away eventually, are going to be self-limited. So just keep that in perspective. Just because you're going to feel a little bit bad right after you get it doesn't mean that you shouldn't get it altogether, that you should avoid it altogether. As for myself, I actually did have some side effects after I got the second dose of the vaccine. More specifically, I had some body aches. I had some fatigue as well. It wasn't so severe that I had to miss a day of work or anything like that, or that I couldn't function. But it was something that I felt. And, the next day I took some Tylenol, got some rest, and, I was back to 100%. And I actually know some people that had even worse side effects than me, or were maybe out for about 1 or 2 days. And they still say that even though they had those side effects, they still wouldn't do anything different, that they still would have got the vaccine if they could go back and do it again, just because they understand the bigger picture in terms of why we're getting this vaccine and what the goal is that we're actually trying to achieve. And actually, so far, I've been pleasantly surprised. A good amount of my patients are actually interested in getting vaccinated for COVID-19. So I'm glad that they are, because they really do need it. And it has been proven to be safe and effective. Hopefully, in the next few months, everybody in this country that wants a vaccine is going to have the opportunity or have access to a vaccine. So that'll be a good thing. At this point, I think we still don't know exactly how things are going to play out in terms of how long this vaccine is going to protect us for. When you have COVID-19 and you get infected with that, you make antibodies against COVID-19, right? And you only make those antibodies for a few months and then you stop producing them. But we don't know that with the COVID vaccine, how long you can actually produce antibodies for. We're hoping that because it gives you a pretty robust immune response, that you're probably going to make antibodies for quite a few months. But if most people get vaccinated, or a good amount of people get vaccinated, but we don't completely get rid of the virus from the population, and we don't achieve herd immunity, then we potentially could be looking at a situation where it's almost like the flu shot, where basically, because it's mutating and changing a little bit over time, we might have to, get some kind of booster shot year after year to continue to protect ourselves against COVID-19. So there's still a possibility that might happen, and we don't really know exactly what the future holds in terms of that. But I still do have a lot of hope and a lot of optimism, the fact that, these amazing scientists were able to come up with these vaccines that actually show signs of actually doing something to protect us. And a lot of these studies, it's not 100% sure or not 100% guaranteed that you won't get COVID-19, but it's pretty much almost like 100% sure that you won't die from COVID-19, which is a beautiful thing, right? You might, nobody's going to live forever, right? So you might die from something else. You can get a COVID-19 vaccine and go out in the street, get hit by a car, right? But with this pandemic, and we see kind of the impact that it's had, tearing families apart and ruining people's lives and cutting lives too short that, that shouldn't have ended so soon. It's a beautiful thing to know that, you've done something to guarantee yourself that you're not going to die from this terrible virus, that you're not going to be alone by yourself in a hospital bed, not able to see your family, and potentially die alone, which a lot of people in this country have been forced to do, which a lot of families in this country have been forced to watch. So just think about the bigger picture in terms of this vaccine and exactly what kind of things it can prevent, and what it can do, what kind of things they can prevent, and what they can do going forward, and provide for us in the future. When I talk to some people, they're skeptical about the vaccine because they say, well, I don't like the fact that they came out with it so quickly or so fast. And, I understand that. It's natural to think that maybe because they came out with it so fast that maybe they cut corners. But, like I was explaining before, it's because it's new technology. That's exactly why they were able to develop it as fast as they could. And, when things like this are happening, when you have a pandemic that's basically shutting down the global economy and taking the lives at such a high rate, then, you're going to be on your job, on your game, and really kind of, accelerating things, in a careful way, but accelerating things and putting things together, compiling a lot of studies or a lot of subjects for studies, in order to really make sure you are able to achieve a goal of developing a vaccine at record pace. So that's basically what happened. It was just a greater effort. It wasn't like any less of an effort just because it happened so quickly. It's just that they saw the urgency and they responded to it. And because of the new technology or newer technology that they were using, they didn't have to sit around for months and wait for different cell lines and cultures and things like that to grow, because of the way that you develop an mRNA vaccine. So that's kind of the reason why it's coming out as quickly as it is. But it's not in any indication that any kind of corners were cut or that it's in effect a less safe vaccine than some of the other ones that have been created in history. And another thing that some people are worried about are the fact that because it's an mRNA vaccine, they think that that's something that has the ability to kind of change the genetic material in your body. But you can rest assured, mRNA is different than DNA, right? So just a kind of a quick, I don't want to bore you too much, but kind of a quick overview of cell biology. You have a cell, and inside of a cell, there's something called a nucleus. And in the nucleus, inside of the cell, is the area where DNA, kind of replicates and makes copies of itself. And that's where genes are made. Genes are the things that kind of make us who we are and help us decide ultimately what kind of things we're going to do in our bodies, right? So mRNA does not have the ability to go into the nucleus and interfere with DNA. mRNA just basically stays outside of the nucleus, inside the cell, but outside of the nucleus, and is able to make this protein. And then basically what happens with this mRNA virus is that, it quickly actually degrades. It actually breaks down pretty quickly. So it doesn't just hang around and do other weird things that it's not supposed to do inside of our bodies and inside of these cells. So it's not going to, alter anything. It's not going to cause cancer down the line. Obviously, we're not, years down the line, right? So, nobody can say for sure. But in theory, and also, just according to, the way cells work and the way mRNA works and the way DNA works, the way biology works, that's something that is extremely unlikely to happen. And may I venture to even use the I word? It's virtually impossible for something like that to take place. And then you also have your folks that are still pretty skeptical, and they kind of are waiting to see what everybody else does. And some people say, you know what, I don't really mind continuing to social distance and to stay at home, away from other people, and wear my mask when I have to go out and things like that. And that's great because as a country we have been doing a great job over the past year of doing those things, right? Wearing our masks the way we're supposed to, social distancing. Not going out to too many public places and gathering, in an unsafe way. But you just have to really ask yourself the question of, are you really going to be able to do that forever? The people that haven't seen their family in a whole year because they live in another state or because they want to protect mother or father or grandma and grandpa, are you really going to continue to stay away from them forever? Do you want to stay away from them forever? Probably not, right? You want to finally be able to see them and not have to worry about transmitting any infections, right? So the only key or the only real reasonable way to get to that point where you're able to do that is through vaccinations, whether it be them getting vaccinated or yourself getting vaccinated, or ideally all the parties involved getting vaccinated, because that's really going to decrease the risk overall of any kind of interactions or encounters like that. A message to those who already got vaccinated, good job. Congratulations. But just keep in mind that we're not out of the woods yet, okay? Just because, number one, these vaccines, even if they're 95% effective, and Johnson & Johnson 72% effective, none of that is 100% effective, right? So there's still a slight chance that you can still be exposed to COVID-19 and, even be a carrier for COVID-19 and infect others, even if you're not getting sick from it, So you got to keep that in mind. And also, you have these new variants from South Africa, the UK, and so forth. And some of them are more contagious than the other strains. And so far they're looking good. Our vaccines are looking good in terms of being able to help protect against these strains. But we don't know, going forward, whether or not any other strains are going to develop that, these vaccines are not effective against. So, for that reason, it's still important to not only mask, but still double mask, even if you've been vaccinated, and still continue to social distance because, we're still not at herd immunity, and, there's still, the numbers are still high. Since over the past few weeks, you heard about, maybe hospitalizations are going down and the cases per day are going down and things like that. But, they're still pretty significant, so, it's important to not let your guard down, not to get complacent and so forth. Also, I heard some folks say that, well, I'm just going to continue to take, my vitamin C or my ginger or my turmeric or, anything else that they use to kind of help boost their immune system. And that's great. You should take those things. But those things will basically keep you healthy and make sure in the event that you get exposed to COVID-19 that you don't maybe get a serious infection. But they won't necessarily prevent you from actually getting COVID-19, and then once you get it, you can still spread it to others. So you just got to keep that in mind. When you try to avoid this being infected in the first place and avoid, having COVID-19 through the vaccine, it's not necessarily about you. It's just about, doing something kind of for the collective good. So you guys are probably tired of hearing that, but that really is what it comes down to at the end of the day. We really can't get past this or through this pandemic without us kind of doing things and kind of living for one another. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I know a lot of people kind of already have their mind made up one way or the other. So, what I say is probably not going to make much of a difference. But, if you're kind of on the fence and still, trying to make a decision in terms of what way to go, hopefully this was useful information. Hopefully this helps. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, Trust PCP. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below. Thank you for watching, and peace out.